I cried so much that day. Just listen to the music. I remember I sat, I stood, I rested my head on the stereo, and I just cried like a baby. And that was therapy for me. And I said, oh my God, that was a talented young man to put those words together. And he had a beautiful voice. I love his voice and the way he came off. You know, I appreciated him as an artist and as my son.
Before she passed, Ms. Voletta Wallace carried a lifetime of pain and a mountain of unanswered questions about her son, Biggie. They say time heals all wounds, but how do you heal from losing your only child, especially when there's suspicion that those closest to him may have played a role in his death? And yes, when I say closest to Biggie, I'm talking about Diddy, allegedly. There are even claims that Diddy tried to silence Voletta more than once when she started getting too close to uncovering the truth.
Big was showing me a contract because I was saying to Big, Big was like, yo, Gene, I like you. I would take you with me, bruh, but you love that too much. I said, love that much? What the fuck you? I love it much. He said, yeah, you love him too much, bruh. I would take you with me. I said, nigga, how you gonna take me with you and you broke? He said, I'm broke. I said, yeah, broke, man. You owe Mike Gadget $30,000 for the system in them drop boxes he put in your truck. And he was like, yo, how you know that? I said, talk and run their mouth, Big. Yo, he said, oh. He said, but I'm about to get this money. So he showed me, I said, you about to get that money? He said, yeah, look at this. It had Charlie Baltimore, Cameron, Little C's, Little Kim, Junior Mafia, Tracy, I don't know, Tracy Murray,
Tracy Lee.
Tracy Lee, and the commission. And I think the contract was for so many years for like 62 million, it comes out to like $62 million. I was like, that's what I said. I'm like, damn.
But we all know Mama Wallace wasn't the kind of woman who could be silenced, especially when it came to her son. She was determined to seek the truth, no matter how deep it was buried. And behind the scenes, aside from Diddy, there was someone else she allegedly never fully trusted, Faith Evans.
You married Biggie when you wanted Tupac. That's hilarious. You wanted Grammys, but you settled for ghostwriting for a whore like Mary J. Blige. That's hilarious.
With the details of the trial surfacing every day, word on the street is that we might finally be getting closer to the truth about what really happened to Biggie and how Diddy and Faith Evans may have been involved. Sadly, Mama Wallace won't be here to see that day come. But if the truth finally comes out, it will still mean something. One thing that's become undeniably clear over the years is that Biggie was planning to leave Bad Boy, and Diddy wasn't about to let that happen without a fight. In fact, that Rolling Stone expose on Diddy revealed that several insiders said Biggie and Diddy were never truly on good terms. According to them, after Biggie's death, Diddy pressured Bad Boy employees to push marketing and album sales for Life After Death. Like he wasn't even grieving, he was obsessed with making the album hit #1. Allegedly, Diddy also continued to steal Biggie's shine even after his death. Former Bad Boy exec Kirk Burroughs recounted how Rolling Stone once approached the label with an opportunity to honor Biggie's legacy on a cover, but Diddy shut it down. Kirk said he told Diddy, "Let's make it Biggie. You'll still get your own cover down the line." Diddy's alleged response? "No, he's dead. I'm putting out No Way Out in July. I need to be on the cover." And that's how Diddy ended up as the face of the 1997 Rolling Stone issue titled Puff Daddy, the New King of Hip Hop. 2 years later, in another Rolling Stone interview, Diddy reportedly admitted that Biggie's death brought a massive wave of fame and money. He allegedly said, "I think his passing added to the fame," with reports estimating that at least 2 million of the nearly 5 million copies of No Way Out were sold as a result of Biggie's passing. As grim as it sounds, that was the reality. Kirk also shared that Diddy had a quiet jealousy over Biggie's bond with Tupac before their falling out. Diddy allegedly wanted a friendship with Pac, but Tupac wasn't interested. He didn't respect Diddy. Some believe it was actually Diddy who pushed Biggie into the beef. Kirk claimed Diddy encouraged Biggie to make diss tracks and even released Who Shot Ya in 1995, knowing full well how it would be interpreted as a shot at Tupac. Based on what's been said, Biggie's mother knew all of this. She allegedly believed Tupac and Biggie had love for each other and that the feud was manufactured. Ms. Voletta Wallace never stopped fighting for her son, and she never stopped believing that he was betrayed and ultimately unalived in her. 2005 book, Biggie, Voletta Wallace remembers her son, Christopher. She wrote, "The truth is, Christopher accepted the illusion of a friend and mentor for about $25,000. That's the amount Puffy lured my son with. That was a lot of money for Christopher back then. As a 19-year-old, he had never seen that much at one time in his life. It was enough money to make my son believe Puffy would do anything for him. It was enough to buy blind love and loyalty." She also stated in an interview with Daily Mail that she was convinced the LAPD covered up the truth. Every day was a painful reminder of what happened to her son. She said, "It hurts me every single day to know what happened to Christopher and that I won't see him ever again. It's not just me. His sister Tiana hurts every day. As a family, we've grieved, and it never gets easier. Any mother who has lost a child knows this pain. It's the worst thing in the world, and I wouldn't wish it on anyone. He was only 24, so young, so talented, and gone too soon. I think about him every day." She went on to say that the LAPD detectives who worked the case know who was responsible, but the case was buried in conspiracy and cover-ups. In her words, "I have a very good idea who unalived Christopher, and I genuinely believe the LAPD knows too. They did their investigation but refused to move forward. I don't know why they haven't arrested the people involved. To me, it feels like a giant conspiracy. Someone is being protected. There's no closure for me until that person is behind bars. That might give me something to hold on to, but it'll never bring my son back." Voletta Wallace also took part in the film City of Lies, a project centered on the corruption that suppressed Biggie's murder investigation. She said she joined not only to honor Biggie's legacy, but also to honor Russell Poole, the detective who died while pursuing justice. Speaking about him, she said, "I hope and pray the truth comes out. Russell died fighting for it. He was a man of his word. His wife said he died of a broken heart because he never saw justice, only corruption and lies." In another interview with Entertainment Weekly, she said, "As long as I have life, there's hope. I'll never give up. And I hope that when I'm gone, my friends and family will keep fighting. There's always hope." Even though Voletta never named names directly, many believe she knew the truth about Diddy's role. She heard the rumors. She saw the signs. She knew her son was fighting for his freedom, and there's always been a shadow of suspicion that Diddy may have known more than he ever let on.
My whole thing about it is that it was somebody in our crew that wanted them to know that Big was in that vehicle. And to separate it, that's where you get there was more than one people trying to kill us. You understand?
You're right.
That's where you get that at, brother. That there was more than one, different people was trying to kill us. Because somebody wanted to know, yo, if y'all gonna get big, here go the car with the stickers on it.
But, it goes even deeper than that, because Diddy clearly wasn't acting alone. The general belief is that Faith Evans knew exactly what happened to Biggie, which is why she's been so vocal in defending Diddy whenever questions arise about Biggie's death.
I know is that Puff would never have Big. Puff would never be involved in one of his best friends. That's outside of him being his artist. You know what I'm saying? That was like, you know, their relationship was something that I don't have that relationship with Puff. So, you know, that's never been something that I...
Of course, it's ridiculous that Faith would claim Biggie and Diddy were basically best friends when everyone else says the exact opposite. That just makes you wonder, what does she really know? Even Jaguar Wright called out Faith as one of the biggest snakes in Biggie's life. According to Jaguar, Faith wasn't nearly as devoted to Biggie as she made it seem, because deep down she actually wanted Tupac, not Biggie. Jaguar even said that although Faith married Biggie, her heart was somewhere else entirely. In fact, Jaguar insinuated that Faith wasn't even sure whether she was carrying Tupac's or Biggie's child because she was allegedly involved with both men at the same time. And it doesn't stop there. Jaguar claims that 2 death row employees caught Tupac and Faith together in the studio and even took photos of them getting down and dirty in the booth. Now imagine being Biggie's mom, Voletta Wallace, watching all this unfold. It must have been absolutely devastating. Jaguar even believes that Voletta would have preferred Lil' Kim over Faith as a daughter-in-law, knowing Faith was working against her son behind the scenes. Whether Mama Wallace ever confronted Faith, we don't know for sure. But one thing's clear. She knew her son was unalived. And if Diddy really did try to silence her, forcing her to stay quiet about his name, that makes the whole situation even darker than we thought. This could all come up in the trial. But before that happens, I want to hear what you think. Drop your thoughts in the comments below.